Hello everyone, GL1 here, and today we are going to talk about the Avengers Mechstrike Ironman Hulkbuster. And as you can see, it has an Iron Man that fits inside your Hulkbuster suit. And I'm going to show you why this toy is very superior to the Mechasaur mech suit in episode 179, which was so terrible, I brought it back. Now, I got this for under $12, which is a fair price. It often ranges from $22 to $38. $38 is absolutely ridiculous, but there's a lot to unpack in this episode because this is a snowball just rolling and getting bigger and bigger. There's so much that this expands to. And first thing I'm going to show you on this box, because behind here is so much to show you, is you see how it has this little divot here? Well, there's another one on the other side, and there's one on Iron Man's arms, and this is going to be helpful to us for this purpose. And here we go. All right, so first off, here is your Mechstrike Iron Man. And as you can see, I have been able to add on accessories. And I'm going to tell you where those accessories come from. They come from the Mashers, the Hasbro Mashers sets, of which I have everything out here today. So, all right, so here's your Iron Man, and these pieces here come from Transformers Mashers. And these come from, they either come from Transformers or they come from the superhero Mashers. I don't remember, because what happens is you end up throwing them into a big box and you kind of remember, but not all the way. So here is our mech suit, okay? So these can come off, all right? And there's your Iron Man inside his suit. I don't really like the way that the arms are still showing, but, you know, I guess he can control, you know, everything with his mind. So the mech suits, oh, this is also an accessory. See that? That goes to, I think that goes to a Transformer as well. But it has actually, you can bend the elbows a little bit and turn the wrists, so not bad. Same thing on the other side. It has like his energy knife. The legs don't bend, but that's not too bad because he can fly. And you see it has these little connectors there. You can add these on. And these fire missiles. So you can see that has a spring. So that's cool. Now inside, you have your Iron Man. Now, the Iron Man is pretty good. It's a 6-inch Iron Man figure. And as you know, I showed you, you can add weapons to him. But you also have one on the back. So if you have something, you know, that you want to add onto the back, maybe he's flying and, you know, he can shoot while he's flying. It has pretty good articulation for a basic kid's toy. You know, you got the knee that moves all around and the hip and the shoulder, and he's got an elbow that bends. His wrists do not turn, but it turns in the elbow, so it's not too bad. And the head also moves around. So, pretty much the same articulation as the Iron Man that was only 4 inches tall in that Mechasaurus one. And, you know, so you get a bigger Iron Man. And really, for $12 now, that's a very reasonable price for this. All right. So when I opened this and I saw these, I was wondering, you know, gosh, what are those for? And that's where I thought of all the Mashers, and I went and I tried, and I go, yeah, you know, they can fit on. You can fit them on anywhere you want, and they, you know, it'll hold it up. So some are a little deeper than others. Like this is deeper, so it's better for that one. But all right, so that's what this does. Now, in order to talk about the Mashers, you know, in one way, I figured, well, I have to keep going, right? So here is the Hero Mashers, okay? So they often have some pretty surprising features. Now, I guess I'll start with the Iron Man Mashers. And I don't have every single one that came out, but a lot of them. Now this one is one of the more serious Iron Man action figures of the type. It actually has a light. You can see, does that light up? There you go. Lights up in there. Been a while since I've changed that battery. And then this comes off, this whole suit. You see it has a belt. And then you can even slide these things forward and they can come off if you want, or if you want to switch them on each side. And the mashers, they come with great articulation, surprisingly good articulation, I thought. They were really inexpensive at the time. These are from like 2014, 2016. But you have knees, they rotate, you have ankles that move in all directions, and hips. And in many ways, they're superior to a lot of action figures that were even coming out at the time. And, these were, for kids, but also able to be modified with all different kinds of parts. So I thought that was pretty cool. You see you have the same divots everywhere, so you can add weapons to him. His waist doesn't turn, but you have all these other articulations, the head. Now, they come apart. So this is what they do. So you can switch all kinds of arms on them. Oops, okay. And the shoulder doesn't come out, but the forearm does. The legs, you could switch the legs. So that comes out, and you have, always this kind of connector. Now, my experience with this kind of connector is over time, it is going to wear out, and then it'll slip off too easily. So you might want to be a little choosy about how often you do that. Usually the hands come with two different size diameters. So you have the small whole hand and the larger whole hand. So this is pretty standard. So when it's holding something, you see this has a small hole, and that would fit there. And then some of these accessories have a larger, you can fit it into the larger one so it can grip it a little bit better. And all right, and that one fires a hammer. And so there's a lot of firing toys, which is cool. And the other thing that's really great is that all of the projectiles fit in all of the firing mechanisms. They're not specialized at all. So that's great. Now here's the Hulkbuster one. And he does have a little bit trouble standing up, but that was one complaint. And the head it turns, it can't really move forward because of the shoulder pads, and it does not sit. I think I would have liked if they had made the neck on this a little bit longer to give you a little bit more ability to move the head around. But you can see it's the same kind of connector. So, and then that pushes on there. And they come with divots in the back, so you can add all kinds of accessories, jetpacks and weapons. And, this is kind of like a war machine. Well, see, and that happens often too, is that this slips and then it pulls the head off. That's why it would have been better if the head had more of a neck, so that when you push it down, it seats a little bit better on there. But all right, so that's what he looks like there without that on. And then he has wrists that turn, and sometimes they have weapons that are integrated into the forearm. So, there's a lot here. I'm just going to try to go a little, there's so much to show you that I don't want to take all the time doing that. But let me just show you real quick up close. So you can make up your own kind of Iron Man toys, right? So the packages often came with extra accessories. So here's an Iron Man. He's got like an energy shield. And you can use all kinds of accessories from other figures and add them together. And they have transformer mashers, which I have several of those, and I'll show you that too. And you can add transformer parts to your any masher set. So, and here you have War Machine in the back. So, and he has like a little clamp. Let's see that clamp on that arm. And then, I could turn that around there. And then, it has like a jetpack. All right. So, if you're a War Machine fan, and then they have, you see you have the Tony Stark head. And then this one had a you can add one firing weapon there and one firing weapon in his other hand. And then on the back, this one has the other angle so that you can put something on the back and still have it facing forward. And then that connects to his jetpack. And then that also fires. So he fires the most. And then you have the antagonist guy. I don't remember his name. Whiplash, maybe? I don't know. But from Iron Man 2. And then you have, I think this is the antagonist from Iron Man 1. The big, giant armor bot. And you see, now we get into some other figures. You have Dr. Doom. And you can change the legs, to different, whatever you want. Like this here came as the Rolk, which is the Red Hulk. But one of the sets came with an extra Carnage head. So I made a Carnage and then gave him, another set came with Carnage arms. So, you could just make, Rolk, or you could make Carnage. And here's one of those ice giants from Thor. He's kind of small, though. And then, you can see Thanos over there. So, no need to really do any modifications on Thanos. Guardians of the Galaxy had some of those guys. And that's Drax, right? And then Captain America. Captain America's kind of cool because he comes with a weapon on the back. You see that? So that's a disc launcher. So you can take his shield and you shove that into there and you squeeze something. You can see how it's kind of rounded and made to hold the shield. So you kind of squeeze it and it pinches. The pressure makes the shield fly off. And then you have Loki. And then the Thor, there's a couple different Thors. So you have bearded Thor, which I thought was really cool looking. And he has this hammer that slides out. See how that slides? So it doesn't throw, but that's bearded Thor. And there were extra heads that came with the sets. So there was a Thor. Here's Thor. Here's the head without the beard. Okay. And that came with, actually it came with this body. All right, you see, I took Colossus, because I already had a Thor. So one of the sets came with a Colossus head. There never was a whole Colossus body. So I'm like, well, let me make my own kind of Colossus. So I took the Thor body, I put on the Colossus head, and then I gave him big Colossus hands. And I don't know whose legs those are right now. But, so see, then that, I think this yellow piece goes to actually a Hulk set. And so you can mash up, there you go, anything you want. And then you have, what is it, Bill? I can't remember his name. Bill something. He's like a Thor guy. So it comes with that hammer. There's so much to organize for these shows. I can't always, research every single thing to remind myself. But then you have, what is it? The Unstoppable Object, X-Men guy. All right. And Venom, right? And then Son of Hulk. And then Hulk right here. Now, Hulk here's War Hulk, right? And he has the knife and he has the extra armor. And as usual, you have divots in the back if you want to add something to him. But there was a Hulk. It did not come with War Hulk head. The War Hulk head came separately with another set. But see, then it came with just regular Hulk. So what they would do is you'd buy a set of something and then it would come with a head. And then, you're like, well, now I have to buy another one because I want to make that figure too. So this is pretty clever on their part. All right, so, more Avengers. And, all right. So this one's really neat, right? Those wing arms. And then Bucky. All right. And of course, I have a Wolverine, which was great because I thought I didn't have one. He comes with the swords. So remember, Wolverine spent some time in Japan. And let me just show you here some of the heads. See, so there's an Ultron head, and here's the Ultron. The thing about the Ultron is you push this big button here, and he comes apart. So that was his cool little feature. So he breaks down. So you could put on this Ultron head or fiery Ultron head. And they even have Judge Dredd. How about that? It actually looks like one of the characters from SpongeBob, right? One of the superheroes that SpongeBob was enamored with. Yeah, here's an extra Iron Man head. And then there's just a whole bunch of extra accessories. And you can see, so you have different missiles that you can add. And you can see they all connect the same way. And then over here in the box, I have some other accessories. So you got to just keep all this stuff, I don't know. You can organize it or you can just throw it all in one bin and hope you never lose anything. All right, so that are the Hero Mashers. But the Hero Mashers also came out at the same time, again, like 2014 to 16, with Transformer Mashers. And here's a bunch of those. So you have Jetfire in the back, Rodimus Prime. Again, there's going to be people, I don't remember their names. That cool guy that turns into a helicopter. That samurai. And then Bumblebee there in the back. And I got 2 Bumblebees, so you can make, so I was like, well, let me make this kind of Bumblebee. Get in the light there. All right. And actually, that can fire a missile. And then here's an Iron Man, Optimus. And I don't remember where those legs go to. But, you can add all kinds of accessories. Because I had an extra Optimus body. Here is the big Optimus. And this kind of did not work really well, this idea. So it's ungainly. So it came with all this armor that comes on. It came with these bigger feet. Let me show you this, because it just irritated me. Because I wanted it to be a big toy you can play with. Here, I'm going to lock this in the camera holder. And it just doesn't work well. All right, so the Optimus is actually really cool. Okay, he's got his Energon sword and Energon axe, and you can add his forearm lasers or rockets or whatever he has, and then he has his own. Optimus always has his own gun. I don't remember what missile went to it. You can add any one you want. But his feet would sit into these, okay? So these have a little plug on the bottom. You see it's got a hole. And that was the idea, is that he would stay like that. But it falls off too easily, and it makes him lean forward, and he looks doofy. So, but his head moves in all directions, and he's got these great, jet packs up here. And you could take all this armor off if it annoys you, which it often annoys me. And then, all right, and then you have Optimus like that. All right, which, now he'll stand and function, better that way. All right, so going back over to here. All right, so this is a really well done one here. What is it? Soundwave. The one with the cassettes in his chest, right? It doesn't have cassettes that come out of his chest, but it does have, actually you can put a missile in there and he can fire the missile. So, but he's well done. It looks good. And then this one, I can't remember the name of him, but he's out now as it just, came out again. So it's really neat to see that this is, like 9 years ago, up to 9 years ago, it's 14 to 16. And that the Transformers that were coming out then are still coming out now, again, in different sets. And then this one, I like this one. I go over this again because he really is like action figure scale, like 6-7 inch action figure scale, and he moves like an action figure. He doesn't really look like a mashup or masher's toy. He just looks like an action figure. So I thought, and I like that about him. Even the ankles move on that too. So he's a cool figure. But that wasn't the only Masters that came out. So they also came out with some Star Wars Masters, and I have a few of those. I didn't get a whole lot of the Star Wars Masters because I kind of felt like, well, they're not robots or anything. So, you're kind of just going to make them the way they are. And that's what ended up happening. So here's Chewbacca Masher. And I'm sure I got practically everything here, clearance, to make it worthwhile for me to get. Now, he doesn't have the shoulder articulation. He does have the elbows. It's got a pretty cool weapon here. It does not fire. In fact, it fell apart all the time really easily. So I ended up gluing it together with none other than shoe goo. All right. So, but he's got good leg articulation. And then Darth Vader. So it's a cool Darth Vader. I mean, it looks, pretty much as cool as any other Darth Vader, which is great. And then General Grievous, I thought that was a really great figure. You got all these arms that move, and they move independently. They ratchet, and you have the elbows. You don't have the shoulder articulation on the front arms, but that's all right. But he's a really neat figure. And then you have Darth Maul, one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. So remember, Darth Maul got cut in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi, fell into this pit, and I believe I don't know, he merged with a spider body at some point. I can't remember what happened first, because there's a spider body. Oh, his leg came off. And then you can merge him with jumping legs. So I can't remember. I know I watched the cartoon where he got the jumping legs and the spider, but I can't remember which happened first. But let's see if I put those on backwards, maybe, because they kind of bend. Yeah, it's like that. It's like a bird or like a T-Rex. They bend backwards in order to be in the right position. So, which actually is more efficient for jumping. So that's how he would stand. So that's pretty neat. As well. The head moves all around. But again, you don't get the shoulder articulation with the Star Wars Mashers. All right. Well, that wasn't the only Mashers. There were also more Transformer Mashers that were the dinosaurs. So there was Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Mashers. And here they are. So you have Grimlock, and if you watch my Grimlock episode, this was in that. And at the time, I didn't have this with that in that episode. But this lights up. His head lights up. There's a button here. Let's see if that battery still works. Yeah. So, like he's firing. Okay. His fire beam. And so, yeah, he's a good T-Rex, masher. And you can, of course, adjust all these parts on the mashers, and then you have your Terracon. And Terracon can launch a missile, it's launching a claw is what it is. So it launches a claw, and it came with 2 claws. The idea is that in the picture, if I remember on the box, is that you could take the claws and you can kind of store them on his wings, but they will stay a little bit, but they didn't make the stems long enough, so they fall off all the time. So that's annoying. But, he opens his mouth, and he's terrifying if he were real. And here you go. And there's the Triceratops, and he also comes with a missile that launches. And there's your Triceratops masher. And for some reason, the headpieces come off. It's not like you can use them for anything else, but they come off. So, all right, I guess, maybe you can just pretend like he, was in battle and part of his head came off. Well, there's also Jurassic Park mashers, Jurassic World mashers, and they can do all kinds of things. Now, here's a pile of some of the accessories. You have different back fins and different legs, all right, and like raptor legs and different heads. In fact, I have several heads here. Let me show you. This is some pretty cool heads. This is a Brachiosaur head. And they all have mouths that open and close, which is cool. And then, I think that's the Stegosaurus head, actually. And then this is, I think that's Herrerasaurus head. And here's a raptor head. So you have all those heads, but then you also have the dinosaurs themselves. So now here's your T-Rex. All right, so he could be just a regular old T-Rex, but then you can add fins to him, if you wanted. T-Rex didn't have those because we would have seen them, some evidence of that. But he also can fire this. This is a pressure. You push on it hard enough, and it has like the little ball there that gets stuck that locks in there. So when you push on it, he fires that. I guess he's spitting goo out at you. And so that's the T-Rex. And then next to him is that guy, Indominus Rex. Yeah, and Indominus Rex has already taken a hunk out of somebody. And so, here you go. And Indominus Rex has a button here on the back. You push that, and he can open and close his mouth a bit. And they made him a little bigger than the T-Rex. So, you can see the head's bigger. The body is not the same. It's a bigger, deeper chest, and his tail has an extra section. So it's not like they just changed the color and said, "Oh, this is T-Rex." The foot's different as well. So good efforts there. Then you can modify, them how you want. So I just made this guy, and this is probably a pterodactyl type of dinosaur, but this came with these. You could get these cool claws that retract, and you also have like a toe, like he can attack with his toe or just tap if he's toe tapping. And then I put some kind of robotic tail on that. I think that actually goes to one of the Hero Mashers, and I can't remember which one. And then you have, Carnosaurus, I believe. So, and he's eating a big hunk of meat. So it came with these, these fun, meat pieces. Looks like that's a thigh. And I'm going to show you how you can modify them a little more. So here's a Triceratops. So you could make a bipedal Triceratops. All right. So his mouth opens. And you can give him whatever kind of legs you want. This was a raptor body. Oh, and there's Jurassic World on there. All right, and then this tail goes to a underwater reptile and aquatic. And here you go. Here's some Stegosaurus parts, but with not a Stegosaur head, and probably not the body either. So that's more like a crocodile-style dinosaur. And then I said, well, let me go all out and just show you how you can really modify these things. And here you go. Here is a Jurassic World dinosaur with a missile that fires and pterodactyl wings. And you can put, he's got lasers on his sides. And then he's got a rudder because when he's flying, then he can kind of maneuver. So I said, well, let's, just to show you how they can do all that. All right, so concurrently at the time of these mashers, Power Rangers thought, well, let's come out with our own version. And they're worthy to take note of because they're constructed differently and in some ways, I'd say superior. So these mashers, here's a simple one. All right, the way that they work is they have ball joints. Everything is a ball joint. So the shoulders are ball joints, so they move all around. You have your hips and your knees and the weapons. And the weapons have different ways of, you can add things to your weapons and change them. And I thought, well, it's kind of cool to see. All right, so here's your mashed up version of that. And then you can, he can hold the gun in his hand, or you can stick it on his shoulder. Same thing with the sword, and then you can, if you want, you can store the sword on his back. And, that's the White Ranger. So there he is there. And then they also did this with some of the Zords, Megazords. So here, I don't know this Megazord. But all right, so you may recognize this is one of the giant robot Megazords. And then if you want, you can turn them around, and then it's this Zord. Right? So he's got that, different head, and you can turn it around. You can change the head how you want. Or you can, again, you can take everything apart. All the legs, the forearms, these do come off all the way. So you could take even the off at the thigh. So they're a little bit, not only are they superior to the other mashers in how they attach with the ball joints, but they also are more adaptable. But they didn't make anywhere near as many. So here is another one. This is the golden Power Ranger. All right. And I've said before, I don't watch any of the Power Ranger cartoon shows, live action shows. I can't watch them. They're just, for me, not enjoyable. But I like the toys. So here, all right. So then you have this, oh, he comes apart. This is the old White Lion Power Ranger. Yeah, that broke. It's old, and I had to stick a screw in there to hold that on. Well, anyway, I'll put that back later. But he turns into, you can see the head there. So he also lights up. So he transforms into, you see the legs are gonna fold in, and then he'll stand up. You can modify him into a Zord, to a upright robot. But it came with, the masters came with parts, so you could make like a centaur out of him. So you can see it's the same figure, and then you can change the head if you want to make it into, it's that head. It's the same head basically. All right, and he's got the claws. And then there's some other cool ones over here. You have, so this one came with, you could just use a big hammer instead of a hand. There's a bag. I have a bunch of extra accessories. So you came with just the other hand if you wanted. And then this one's really neat too. I thought he was, just looked more like an action figure rather than, something that mashes up. That's what I like about these. The Power Ranger ones are really just more like action figures. Although the Marvel ones are really great too. All right. And then this guy, so you see that? And then I wanted to show you, this is the Build-A-Zord series, when they were doing a lot of their Build-A-Zords. And so they came up with their Masher one, and then you can take him apart and you can just put on regular legs, and you can put on regular shoulders, or you could just make him into basically this big fella here, the red T-Rex Dino Zord. And then they did the same thing with the pterodactyl Zord. So you have your masher there. You can modify this to be in pterodactyl mode. Right now it's in Zord robot mode. And that is made to be a version of this. It falls over. Okay, so there's your Build-A-Zord. And that can also be made into pterodactyl zone. But this isn't really a show about Zord, so I'm not going to show you all the features on the Zords. That'll be another show later. But I just wanted to show you how they're like, how they're all alike like that. So all of this I had to cover. I felt compelled because of this Mechstrike Avengers bot. So hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.